Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and this video isn't about any one game really or even one key reseller site as that is the topic of my rant today, all encompassing as it is. It's more of a warning to all you gamers out there about these things. You see, key reseller sites have become very popular in the past few years as the popularity of digital game downloads is, skyrocketing because people have better and better internet, unless they're Americans, of course. They tend to not buy any more games on DVDs in actual stores. Some still do, obviously, but most already don't, like me, buying games on Steam and Origin and what have you, even Uplay, which is disgusting. So, of course, to get a better deal, we look all over, sometimes buying our games through retailers that sell keys online, like G2A, Greenman Gaming, CDJ keys, and so on and so on. And so, well, these sites are getting super popular nowadays, and new ones start to spring up almost overnight. And all of them, of course, offer you discount keys, and sometimes it looks like a very good deal because, a new AAA game costs a lot less, but most of these deals are actually scams or complete bullshit, and I have dealt with a few of these key shops in my time, and a recent deal with such a site has left me pretty sour. So what I thought I'd do today is kind of make a video commentary about these scammer sites as a kind of warning to people out there in the interwebs. But first I'll tell you about my latest experience with a site called MMOGA.com, and well, you can almost see the amount of weird things that go wrong with it, and you can kind of count them off on your fingers as I walk you through the process of what happened. So, a few days ago, I decided to buy Battlefield 4 for a friend as he was going to give me another game on Steam. Sounded like a good idea at the time. Might not have made much sense, but it did at the time. Now, I usually try to avoid key shops like this, but he sends me a link to MMOGA and says he, bought things there before and that I should buy the key there and send him the key over Steam. Now, I don't recognize the site myself. I didn't shop there before, and I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to buy the key there, but I trust my friend and I buy the key there after registering as a new user. Now, their site seems like it wasn't built overnight, and I don't necessarily think that there should be a problem with anything. I pay with PayPal and wait for my key to arrive. So, so far so good, right? So next I get two emails in my inbox. One, a standard confirmation from PayPal that my money was sent to the seller, and another from their so-called customer support asking me to verify my account as, quote, they had a large number of chargebacks recently as the charges were deemed fraudulent. Now, I actually saw something similar to this at another key shop, and I know very well that it's already pretty suspicious that they're sending me this, especially after already getting my PayPal money. So, they ask for a phone confirmation. And it's a little weird that they ask for it, but alright, I decided to give them a chance, I plugged in my phone number, and it said wrong code. Now, I do this several times and it doesn't work. So finally I plug in my friend's phone number just for giggles, and surprise surprise, it doesn't work either. So I start thinking about getting my money back already, and at this time I get an email from supposedly their customer support again with an obviously homemade PDF attachment explaining to me how I should verify myself to them. Now, bullshit like verification aside for a second, there is absolutely no reason for me to be doing this, as the money already was sent by PayPal. And another obvious scam reason comes up when you think about whom you would send this information to. If indeed my card company was withholding the funds and not paying them for the game, there would be absolutely no reason in hell for me to send the key shop some sort of weird handwritten note, because after all it would be my bank not letting the money out. You know, the key shop wouldn't have any influence over the bank at all. So, but it gets even weirder from there. I take a look at the PDF and actually laugh out loud. In there, there is a photo of a guy with his eyes blacked out holding up his ID, and it says I should send them a photocopy of my ID slash passport slash driver's license together with a photo of myself holding up said ID, and that I should write them that indeed I am confirming my funds withdrawal. Now, me, I'm buying a video game, not trying to get into the NSA archives, so immediately this is already very wrong to me. This sounds very wrong. And that PDF was obviously made in MS Word and is absolute horseshit when, which has no legal standing anywhere outside the basement of the guy that printed it up. Not to mention that there is absolutely no way in hell that they could seriously be asking me for my photo ID. And, well, that and the written confirmation allowing them to withdraw my funds. What the hell? I mean, are they going to use my signature and the phrase to withdraw as much as they want from my account? This is absolutely laughable, right? Well, at this point, I see that it's a complete horseshit scam, and that this PDF was obviously made in some crappy hotel room that with the guy kind of holding a selfie stick and photographing himself, which is just hilarious. And I'm obviously not willing to have my, identity stolen or have legal troubles over buying a video game. So I go to PayPal and file a claim against MMOGA, and as a reason I list all these ridiculous things that they supposedly do against fraudulent withdrawals. Ironically, I can see why they do them actually. But say what you want about PayPal, that it's scary, that there is no protection if something goes wrong, that if things go sideways, you're liable for everything, that, it can be hijacked or whatever, or hacked. But they always side with the buyer in disputes. So I had my money back inside 12 hours without a peep from anyone. Now, what lessons have we learned from any of this, if any? Well, you see, key shops, even if they look reputable, can likely be a lot of trouble. Some don't even take the time to look reputable and don't bother with the fanciest site, like CJS Keys, for example. Their site pretty much screams anyone dumb enough to register here is gonna have their financials stolen. Not to mention that these key shops are, they're resellers of keys, so, where you have absolutely no way of knowing where these keys actually came from. I mean, they could have come from the publisher themselves, or they could have been sold to them by some hacker who stole 3,000 keys off the publisher's site. They could also have been, bought in a humble bundle, which could have cost them $1 or very little, and have their keys resold by a dishonest individual to key shops, who then sell them to you at a very good markup. And there have actually been numerous instances of keys being stolen through programs like, free games with a video card, and, you know, online their databases can be hacked. And there's even a YouTube scam where a guy sends out a bunch of emails to publishers, conning them into emailing him their keys because he says he's supposedly a big channel who is a journalist, who reviews games and does giveaways. The publisher hands over some keys, and the guy sells them at, let's say, $20 a pop to, resellers who then sell them to you, dear gamer. And do you know what happens when you activate these fraudulent keys? Well, a couple of things. Either the key has already been used once and you've just wasted $46 on the game you can't play, or the game is region locked, like to, let's say, Russia, because some games are a lot cheaper there in, different regions. So it makes sense to resell those keys from those regions to regions where they're a lot more expensive, or the publisher indeed gets wise to that they've lost a bunch of keys and deactivates them all, banning the accounts attached. So your supposed savings of $5 off the retail price actually winds up biting you square on the ass. So let's think for a second what can be done to avoid this. Well, there's a few things you can do. The most obvious and the easiest one probably being using your brain and some common sense. Now, if you look at the new AAA title game and see that it's literally half off, you know right away that it's probably not a good idea to buy there, and that it's probably a scam. If it smells like bullshit and looks like bullshit, it's probably bullshit. Now, another good indicator is just having a look at the site itself that you want to buy the key from. Any site that looks like it's been made in 1995 by someone playing around with MS Paint is a no-no. CJS Keys is a very good example of this, and remember, even if they list positive reviews that were supposedly left there by customers, it could be complete crap. Some sites pay for people to write reviews or do it themselves from different accounts, so those are very easy to fake. You can also check out the site's particulars on domaintools.com. If this will show you some obvious glaring fake info, stay away from this site. Some sites use WhoisGuard to keep people from looking in. That would be another clear indication that they have something to hide. MMOGA doesn't use WhoisGuard. You can see who the site is registered to, but essentially it's a German company that is that runs on servers in California, that is registered in Taiwan, I believe. And I assume it's registered in Taiwan not to pay taxes on an American-based company. So that's probably why they do that. I know some other companies register themselves overseas, like in Taiwan or something like that, like some YouTube networks also do that. Now, if a site suggests they'll send you a photo of a digital key, that suggests quite clearly that they obtained those keys from dishonest ways and didn't even bother to transcribe them. If a site suggests you use or even requires you to use a VPN or a proxy to activate the key from another region, like cheaper Mexican keys that were sold for Battlefield 4 and Titanfall and what have you, there's a very good chance that these are, scams, and this is a very good reason to stay away. No legitimate retailer ever in their right mind would require you to, circumvent the safeguards put in place or activate keys from another region. as I said before, some regions have much cheaper keys. If you use PayPal to pay for, if you absolutely must buy a key from a reseller site, use PayPal to pay for the key, you know, that you buy there, because PayPal generally always sides with the buyer if things go sideways, and it returns the money very quickly. You can also use Google to check the reputation of these sites. Many times you can find some horror stories online, that other people who have already dealt with this site put up on forums and Reddit and whatnot. So reading reviews from common people is a very good way to check for these legitimacy of these sites. And some key shops even stoop so low as to sell a free-to-play game for actual money. So, let that be a lesson to all you kiddies out there. You should always know the value of your game before you actually click buy. So, always, Google the game's worth that you are about to buy, because there are some pretty unscrupulous people out there, who would go to great lengths just to make an extra buck. And finally, just use common sense, and obviously never ever ever fall for any of these post buying so-called confirmation measures that they will ask you to go through, other than maybe just confirming by phone. But never ever send them anything. If this happens, don't even bother emailing their support. Just file a PayPal claim and get out of there as fast as you can. And frankly, start buying keys on reputable dealers who deal directly with publishers like Amazon and Steam and Origin. And as much as it pains me, Uplay, because while you might save a few bucks on getting the keys elsewhere, you might also be getting your account banned just because you decide to cut a few corners. And hopefully this will be a good a warning to kind of to wake up for the publishers to stop selling region locked keys that are cheaper in certain regions than in others, because this will, for obvious reasons, lead to a lot of reselling and making money of those keys. Now, I'm not saying you should never buy keys from these key sites, key shops, key resellers online. If there is a good deal, obviously people will want to shop there, and some of them have, the bigger ones like G2A, for example, have a very good support system, and they return emails very quickly, and they will, I'm betting, stand behind their product. So if anything goes wrong, you should be able to explain the situation and get a refund or something like that, or even maybe a free game. But I'm just saying, you must obviously use your brains before clicking buy on the first key, on the first cheap key that you see out there, for obvious reasons that I've just spent 18 minutes explaining. So that's it for my rant. Thanks for listening to it and staying to the end, and please rate and share this video as it helps my channel grow. Check out my other videos at the end of this one, and remember, in Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.